Hey everyone, welcome to Rolling in Darkness, the show where I talk about Call of Cthulhu, investigative horror games, and just TTRPGs in general. And I'm super duper excited to have you all here. Yes, today's gonna be a really fun episode. It's one that's gonna be very near and dear to my heart because a lot of it has to do with making mistakes as a new keeper. And I find that when it comes to being a new keeper, it is one of my favorite things is to watch new people learn how to run the game. A lot of them have never run games before. Usually they're players. For me, I started off on the side of the table that was just rolling dice and not really knowing what to do with this character sheet. And now all I really do is run TTRPG games. And for me, being a keeper, being a DM, being a GM, whatever you want to call it, it is one of my favorite things to do because it scratches an itch that's very primordial for me. I get to be creative, I get to be funny, I get to run games, and at the end of the day, I get to bring people to a table and experience tabletop gaming for the first time, the thousandth time, or the millionth time. And for me, it's like a chef's kiss. But everyone's journey has to start somewhere. I was terrible when I first started. I made all the mistakes, everything you could possibly do wrong, I did. In this video, I really want to give my thoughts and tips of how to become a new keeper and kind of get over the barrier of, oh God, I'm running my first game. What do I do? You got this. It's all about rolling dice and letting your investigators have fun as they discover the mystery and the horror together. I think the greatest piece of advice I'd ever gotten is that you are as much a player as the players. It is never going to be you versus the player, so the players versus you. You are all trying to be collaborative together. And once you get that into your head, the game becomes less stressful because you are as much the collaborator as they are. You are figuring out things in a different way, such as you are working with the monsters, you are working with the NPCs, rather than the players who are just playing singular characters for the most part, depending on the game system, of course. Now, when it comes to it, I find that this mentality definitely is a really wonderful thing. I think that the Dungeons and Dragons 5.5 book does a really good job kind of encapsulating this. Call of Cthulhu also does a really good job encapsulating this. But it's the mentality of you are much a collaborator as they are. I think this kind of myth kind of started because you're the one running the monsters, you're the one starting the combat, you're the ones definitely starting all the problems, and the players are reacting to it. I don't want to say it, but you own kind of a slight god complex. But kind of want to beat that out of people is that you aren't necessarily a god. You're more of a referee. Like when you have to make a rules call, you're the person that's gonna be like, this is what it is, this is how we're gonna do it, and this is how we're going to interpret it. And once you can do that, perfect. You are as much as a friend as they are because at the end of the day, you're there to just have fun, kill time, and really just roll some dice and laugh. And for me, once you can kind of figure that you're in a collaborative game, everyone there is here to have fun and is super excited to play. And you're really just there to kind of facilitate the fun, but also have fun yourself. It's kind of one of those things where you're there to play a game and not get super duper serious. And when you can kind of relax and be like, you know what, the sun's gonna rise and set and it's gonna rise again, everything's gonna be all right. Another common misconception is you need to know every single rule of that book. No, no, you really don't. A lot of the time when it comes to books, there's so many jumbles of rules, and then sometimes rules have contradictions or subsets of rules. Even in Call of Cthulhu, I can never get through a chase scene. It is so confusing. If I pull up the keeper screen and I see that you need a flowchart, oh god, it's there to be collaborative and kind of. I've had people have to help me with those rules before, definitely. And it is okay not to know every single rule as long as you can have a good faith and an interpretation of the rules. I think Shadow Dark does an amazing job of this. You are more of a facilitator, as well as it is okay to make mistakes because when you make a mistake, you're either going to learn it or you're going to make your own interpretation that might be better at your table. I definitely know that as a keeper, I make mistakes all the time. Also, as a player, I make mistakes all the time. And knowing that both you, the keeper, and you, the player, make mistakes, it is okay. It's kind of an uphill battle at times because it is you are there kind of to be the rules referee, but also you're there to make judgment calls. And it's the classic thing of is it rules versus rulings or rulings versus rules. And I have been in many a game where you have the rules lawyer where you're arguing back and forth and kind of being like, hey, this is what we're going to do. Biggest tip I can do is if you don't know a rule and you're like looking forward, you spend a little too much time on it, just make a call, look it up at the end of the game afterwards, and gonna be like, hey, moving forward, this is how we're gonna do things. But in the current moment, we're gonna do it off the way that I think the rules are interpreted. And in Call of Cthulhu, in one of these games where you're gonna be there for a few hours, it is okay to make a ruling and go forward because everyone's gonna make mistakes. As long as you kind of figure something out and you keep the flow of the game, I'm very much a big proponent of rulings over rules any day. It is okay to make copious amounts of notes as long as they're organized. I find that when it comes to any play session I do, I make giant lists of notes. Everyone definitely is different in how they take their notes. I like my things color coded, I like my things organized. I know people that just write things down on napkins and kind of just bullet point things, and their version of note taking and my version of note taking are fundamentally different, but we get to the same result. I find even if you're in the middle of playing, just have like a piece of paper near you, and you never know if you're playing a one shot or you're playing multi session. Sometimes you're definitely going to forget things or you want to write things down. I find that it is okay to take notes. I would take notes about NPCs, I would take notes about the beginning, middle, and end. Kind of flowchart things definitely helps me when it comes to I'm a very visual person. So when it comes to it, taking notes, even if you're in the middle of the game, definitely helps. I find one of my very helpful tips is when you're finished with the game, write everything down that you can remember. And then at the start of the next session, ask one of your players to give a recap of the last session that you all did to kind of rejog everyone's minds because not everyone's going to remember everything. And it is okay to forget some small things. People might correct you, and that's kind of the nature of the beast sometimes. I've forgotten whole NPC names and I've had to make up Jerry the shopkeeper 15, 16 times because I forgot his name is O. Henry the shopkeep. I find that making notes, some people are fundamentally, I don't want to take notes, it's all in the noggin. Buddy. I don't know how you do it. I don't have the, Sherlock Holmes mind palace. I can't remember every single thing. But you know what? To each their own. I find having notes, even when you're just doing your prep, I like to do a cold read for my prep, which is I'll read the scenario first, don't take any notes, kind of get a feel for it. What do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Then go through. Usually I print out my scenarios or I have them as a PDF. Second time through, I will print them out and then I'll start highlighting things I want to keep. And then I'll highlight things I want to like 86 out of that adventure and kind of go from there and kind of make it my own. And by the end of it, it looks like a string of serial killer notes many times. And then I'll take those string of serial killer notes, I'll make my Zack manifesto. I will put it in a way that is more keeper screen friendly and definitely go that way. I know that I have a friend that does 3 clipboard method where he'll take 3 clipboards and he'll have the beginning portions of everything is on one clipboard, the middle section of the adventure is on another clipboard, and then the end goal and kind of the monster stats are on the third clipboard. So he always knows visually where he is in the story and kind of can gauge how the pacing's going. If you're on the first clipboard in hour 4, you got to either move things up or is this going to be multi-session. He has a very good gauge in that, and I find that when it comes to organization is king. I definitely made these mistakes when I first started where I wouldn't write anything down and I'd have no notes. Making this video, I'm looking at notes right now because I can just get sidetracked and start to rant and kind of freak out and kind of definitely not know, you're steering the ship without a rudder. And same as with player experiences, is that people will definitely know when you have a script versus when you don't have a script, or versus of when you have notes versus when you're going to wing it. Unless you're really good at improv, chances are when you're first starting out, it is good to have notes. It is good to highlight and underline and kind of use those skills that I 100% have not used since middle school and high school and college. Yeah, they're actually kind of helpful. And I kind of like it that way. And I think you should all try taking notes. It definitely is helpful. Accents are not the end all be all. I am terrible at accents. I have a couple, and that's about it. And I let my players just know up front, hey, if you want me to do accents, I can try. You're gonna laugh and be miserable when I try to do stuff. When it comes to an accent that is, the Russian, I can do European. I can do a mixture of a bunch of things. But at the end of the day, you don't have to do accents. I've done times where I've just done my voice standard. Something that I like is how audiobooks do a lot of things, where sometimes you raise your voice to kind of emphasize things, where sometimes in the span of a second to kind of emphasize a different voice, you make it a little softer, make people want to come in a little closer. And there's different inflections you can do, and I find that that's definitely a helpful thing to try. If you want to go for accents and you want to try to be more performative, I definitely do a thing where I stand the entire time and kind of have physical movements compared to other people that just want to do voices. And either or, not doing voices is fine. I definitely encourage you to find your own path. I find that if you're going to do accents, there's definitely helpful resources out there, as well as being upfront with your players. Like, hey, I'm not good at accents, and sometimes those accents are so funny, people really enjoy them. I find when you play a tabletop RPG, you're kind of inherently want to be an actor. You're technically putting on a role, you are putting on a performance. The old Shakespeare line about every world's a stage starts to pop into everyone's head, and suddenly you're a thespian. And finally, I get to brush off my useless theater degree. Technical theater, but it's still technically a theater degree. It's okay to start off as kind of bland, and as you get more comfortable, you can try doing new things, you can try doing voices. Everyone is unique and funny and can be creative, and by the end of the day, you're just there to have fun, and I personally am excited for you all. And my last tip when it comes to becoming a beginner keeper is that watch other keepers. You'll learn so much. There's some amazing resources out there. A lot of the times when I started, I was like looking for any information I could find about being better, being more creative. If you're watching this video, that means you're looking for a resource out there to become a better keeper. And I find that if you watch some actual plays, you watch people play and how they run their games, you're definitely going to find and pick and choose what you like about them versus how you play and kind of incorporating things. I'm not saying don't blatantly steal how someone definitely runs their game, but look at them, watch them and kind of observe how they make mistakes, how they make judgment calls, how they interact with their players, and you're definitely going to start picking things up. A lot of these actual plays have year-long backlogs where you can learn essentially the whole game inside and out. And again, finding like helpful resources. When I first started, there weren't that many YouTube channels or actual plays for Call of Cthulhu. Most of them were specifically for Dungeons and Dragons, and that was pretty much it. And I had to learn a lot of the stuff from just the Keeper's Handbook. And it is an amazing resource to have. I should recommend that wholeheartedly. Read the Keeper's Handbook. Read the sections not about gameplay, but how to run a game, how to kind of manage your game. A lot of those people have been playing Call of Cthulhu at that point for like 30 years at that point, and it's definitely a helpful thing to look at. There are some amazing resources out there. Unfortunately, one of my favorite ones no longer exists with Yogg Sothoth, and sadly, let's have a moment of silence for that. Okay, I'm kind of sad about that. But there are some amazing resources out there, YouTube channels, books like So You Want to Be a GM by Justin Alexander is one of my favorite. It's like a Bible to me. I read it all the time. It's on my bookshelf back there. And it's helpful. It teaches you how to run the game, teaches you a lot of just the fundamentals. And I find that reading theory is helpful, but putting it into practice is even more helpful. I definitely recommend watching how people interact, playing the game, making your mistakes while you're at the table, and figuring out if you can keep the flow of the game and everyone's having fun and everyone's excited and the game just doesn't stop, you're doing a really good job. And it's kind of okay to also talk to your players after the game. Hey, what did you like about this game? What did you not like about it? One thing that I do when I used to run a lot of D&D games online with people I didn't really know is after a couple of sessions, I would send them out like a Google form, kind of an anonymous survey of being, here's this thing. I don't know who you're going to be. Put an anonymous name, put a fake name. I don't really care. But let me hear your thoughts and opinions of this game and give me feedback and honest feedback. Because when it comes to the end of the day, honest feedback from someone that you don't know and they say it's really good goes a long way compared to like a friend that's like, hey, that was really good. I had a lot of fun. This brightened my day. That's just as good. But if you're trying to become a better keeper, the biggest advice I have is definitely play games. There are times where I've had paralysis where I'm like, I don't think I should be playing, Call of Cthulhu or Shadow Dark or any of these games. I suck at it. But then I get to the table, people were having fun and laughing and cheering and telling me how great I was, and I still really doubted myself. And then later on, I would hear people say this was like one of their favorite games that they played, or I would get an anonymous survey and be like, "Oh wow, I guess I did have fun." But there were times where you're gonna have self doubt, and you're definitely gonna have that theory of, "Oh my god, everyone's bored, and everything's gonna suck." I find the biggest hurdle when it comes to kind of self doubt and kind of, are you going to be a good keeper is kind of already putting yourself in the mindset of, hey, I'm a keeper, I'm a GM, I'm a DM, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. And as long as people aren't like walking away from your table or openly just being defiant, you are a good keeper. I think that fundamentally, and this might be a lot of people, but well, don't say this, is that it's about your players having fun and you having fun. That's the most important part. Are you having fun doing this? You're technically putting in more hours than the players. They are simply there to roll dice and have fun and joke around and maybe spend a few minutes making their characters, where you're there comparably reading through scenarios, taking notes, organizing the game. If you're using like a VTT, you're putting the maps in and you're putting the props in. Some people write things out, hand notes or hand props, and they're spending more time. If you're having fun and you're enjoying things, and by the end of that game you feel like $1 million, you are an amazing GM. You are on your way to become one of the best GMs. Everyone's GMing and keeper experience is completely different, but at the end of the day, fundamentally, as long as you're having fun, that's all that really matters. And there's plenty of resources to get you to the goal post. It's how you take that information, is what do you do with it, is kind of the main thing. And by the end of the day, just have fun, enjoy the journey, and you're gonna make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time still. I've been playing for like 10 years. And it is okay as long as you're having fun and your players are having fun, then you are accomplishing what you want to do. You are playing a game and you're really enjoying things, and at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this little tip video. I hope you all enjoyed this. What did you think about it? Do you agree with things? Do you disagree? I'd love to hear in the comments down below, because I'd like to keep this dialogue going. I enjoy making these videos as much as editing them and writing these scripts and kind of thinking things through more thoroughly is the same as being a keeper. I enjoy this, and I would hope you're all enjoying this. If you like this video, please consider subscribing down below. I'd really appreciate it. Well, everyone, I'm Zach, and let's keep rolling those dice, everyone. See ya! Bye!